why I love the moon. Every night it's there for me. It's constant. All right, let's get this thing started. What is going on, team? What up, YouTube team? What up? This is something new we're doing here. Actually took me a second to set up, but we are officially here. What is up, Maverick team, and what is up, YouTube team? It's the first Power Hour I've ever done live, and I might as well bring it out for the holidays. We've got ourselves the Thanksgiving holiday week coming up, and it's a little bit slower, but we do have some things lining up. So I'm always someone that's very thankful and likes to give for the holidays. So maybe this is something that can help some people out there, as well as people in the Maverick room. Hopefully we could take advantage of some of these plays like we know how to do. And we've already got one. So to start off our Power Hour, hope everyone's having a great day and had a great midday and so far a holiday week. This week started off a little bit slower, and the QQQ and SPY actually got a mini bounce, but for us, it wasn't too much going on. If you did take stuff over the weekend, there were big gap ups, but from Monday to today, there wasn't too much. But today, I like the action that the market has done. It started with a dip, and all Dow market and or SPY and QQQ have turned around. Bitcoin turned around a little bit, but that's still red. But that doesn't matter because we're looking at some stuff that's not related to Bitcoin right now. And the one stock I'd say is my favorite that we already have some fills here at 352. We're trying to get some more. I was sizing in on the way down here. And my favorite time to buy is usually the last hour of the day, and specifically the last hour and a half and last hour of the day. So as this dipped down to support that it had from earlier, I started to size in a bit. And I got some at 352. So this is the only one that right now we have. I have a little bit of ABBRF, but not really any size. This is already some nice size here. So this is definitely one of mine down to start off this Power Hour. The other one that I was talking about is an OTC stock, and it's this one up here. So for those of you guys that are new, and if you have any questions, feel free to always write them in the question box. Don't feel like don't feel shy, and don't feel like any question's a dumb question, because I see we got some new people here, and I do see there's some questions in the off topic, which I will get to. And Mark, trust me, you are not bothering me whatsoever. I actually love people that bring up tickers. The more the merrier. So never think you're bothering me ever. Anybody out there. So I'm always open to learning more, and no question is a dumb question. So bring it on if you ever want. And for those of you guys that don't know where to find me, if you're wondering, on the YouTube channel, we actually have a live room I trade in every day called the Stock Mavericks with Simpler Trading. So check out simplertrading.com in the Stock Mavericks room. We have fun every single day. Right now, we're up about 3 to 4 cents in AISP. We'll see if we can make a little more here. And then the other ones I'm eyeing down are ABBRF, and I'll go over the others. But before I dive into everything, I want to tell you the reason why I like it. And the reason why I like it is it's because it's a first green day pattern. And that's just a typical pattern. A lot of traders that are out there have usually heard about that pattern. I just like specific stocks that usually give me decent opportunity that line up with this pattern. If you look at this stock, it's been downtrending from $7 all the way to $3 in a span of about a month and a half. I think that's a pretty big drop. Now, if you've noticed, it hasn't really had any big follow-up green days yet. So I'm looking for the big follow-up green day, and if it doesn't happen, you do see that sometimes it does, if it doesn't get anything too big, it at least follows up. So that's what I'll be looking for. I always look for past history before I dive into any stock, and then I like to dive in deeper to the daily chart. But my past history shows that we probably could follow up if we hold this 348 spot. I'll add some more if it dips, but right now I got about 1,300 shares, and we'll see if we can get some more by the end of the day. This is a listed stock on the NASDAQ. It's an AI-related stock, so it is in the AI sector as well. And AI has been coming down for a while now, so I do like this. The next stock, like I said, was ABBRF. Looking for a dip, and it's getting a small dip right now, so let's see if we get some fills. It's a typical 52-week breakout, and I'm just trying to get filled at the breakout. Usually when a stock breaks out and holds that spot, it tends to follow up. Now, this stock, you can see, doesn't have the biggest follow-up. So I call these slow, old reliables. Just look to try to gain 5 to 10% overnight and move on. A lot of things that I like to do personally is buy something one day and sell it the next. That's really what pretty much 90% of my buys are. So being really quick with your money, trying to buy one day and sell the next. This one looks like it could follow up tomorrow. And I would call this more of an old reliable, a slower one that you probably won't risk too much, but the reward is not as well too much, but usually you will win. So we'll see if we can get some fills. Those are the two A stocks I like. I've liked them all day with my community. I've been bringing them up literally all day since the morning because I have 2 live sessions. One live session at 9:15 till 10:30, and that it's like 10:15, and that one doesn't get as much people, but the afternoon always gets a little more, which makes sense. People are actually doing it the right way, and that's usually how you should be doing it. All right, some of the other stuff that I do want to put on my overnight watch list, because I do create a watch list every afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm just a little late today because I wanted to test out this YouTube afternoon session. And also, I'm driving down to South Florida today for starting up my holidays. So I kind of get some stuff together midday, but pretty excited there to get the holidays started this week. Well, I'll be trading no matter what Wednesday down in South Florida. And on a Friday, we got a half day. But Thursday, we are officially off. So that's, you have a little bit of guard up too when you're trading. Holiday weeks are usually a little bit slower. So when I do go into holiday weeks, I don't usually size completely, and that's why I only really have 1,300 shares AISP. Usually, I'd probably want right around 2,500 or so. But hey, if we get a good enough dip, maybe I will get the full 2,500. We'll see. So let me try to finish off my overnight watch list. Usually, I like 5 stocks on it. Another one I thought that looked pretty good was D-Nut. It's Krispy Kreme donut. It has a lot of follow-up days. I mean, this one didn't, but other than that, it's recently done pretty well with follow-up. So I'm going to put this on the overnight watch list. When you zoom in, you have a clear risk there. So Krispy Kreme donuts. This is a really light volume drone stock, but it is known to gap up. It's another one that's dropped so far from $4 all the way to $1 in trying to bounce there. You consider that a first green day. Nothing too special there. Fossil and Barnes & Nobles. I don't usually play too much stocks I know a lot about, but I know a lot about these companies. They've been in my life forever, since I could remember. Barnes & Nobles was on my weekly watch list. If you haven't seen it on YouTube, you can go watch it on YouTube. I call it my jackpot play, but Barnes & Nobles at 640 2-year support. I actually wrote that in there. And if you look at yesterday, it held that spot perfectly. And it ended up spiking like crazy after that. So it spiked above 640, and then it just never came back below that spot. And this thing went nuts. Could have made 30% there, up 35%. I'm not going to try it today, but good to watch. And then Fossil is another one making multi-month highs. Interesting to see Fossil getting a little volatile. But who knows? The one stock that I would say, if you do like these large runners that you can watch after hours for possible big after hours squeezes, would be CETY. I'm not in love with it yet. It's a China stock. China stocks always sketch me out. But that's a huge first green day. So if it does hold up till after hours, we'll possibly keep an eye on that. And then let me see if there's anything else out there. Usually the goal is 5 stocks or less that I put on the overnight watch list. Right now I have pretty much 5. I don't know about DRSHF, so maybe I'll put Citi on there instead. But that's still 5. So let me see if there's anything else that I think is decent. If anybody has a recommendation or anything that they want me to look at, let me know. All questions I'm open to. Like I said earlier, no question is a dumb question. So feel free to reach out. Let me know. This one looks pretty decent. What up, Nick? Barnes & Nobles. Yeah, I know. I can't believe that. And that was my most profitable stock. If you watch my YouTube, or if you watch the video on it, I talk about how that was one of my biggest wins like a year and a half ago. And that's one of the reasons why I put it on that watch list as well. And it was just coming down to key levels. But it is what it is. All right, so going down the list, doesn't look like nobody has any other tickers themselves. So let me do my own scans. Kivney has KRKNF. Let's see how that one looks. This is a robotic stock. Oh, wow. That was a nice reversal from yesterday, too. A pretty big fall yesterday. Trying to create a first green day. There's a lot of wicks here in KRKNF, but technically it's trying to get out of this range. Looks like there's news yesterday. Oh, they came out with earnings yesterday in the morning, so that's why they were so volatile. Possibly. No news in any of these other stocks. Besides Barnes & Nobles. You said QNCCF. QNCCF was a nice follow-up. That was more from yesterday's overnight watch list, but I don't know if I would do that again. But that was a nice follow-up from yesterday. So give me a second to make this one right now. I'm going to update the list. I'm going to do those 5, DNUT, AISP, ABBRF, KRKNF. We'll do that one, Himini. And Citi, I think I'm going to do as the last one. High risk, high reward for that Citi, but you'd have to hold until the end of the day for that one. It's already at $600 million in volume, and it's holding. So just give me just about 3 minutes to update it, this list that we got here. I always usually like to make this right at 3 o'clock, but today, since we were trying something new, a little bit later, but that's all right. We already got our buy-in for the one stock we like. Now we're just trying to get the other one. "45 minutes left in the day." I always like to say the later you get in the stuff, the better, because it. I compare it to the casino, where the casino is a risk, and honestly, gambling is. I mean, not gambling. Trading is very similar to that. So, the less that you're in the casino, usually the more you end up winning. Take your money and run. Same type of thing here. The less that you're ending up in these stocks, I always say the less risk you have with your money on the line. You see what happens when you have the big fluctuation in the market the past 3 weeks. I haven't been in too much stuff the past 2 weeks. We've actually been a little more patient with the community, and I think it's paid off just because of how ugly things have been lately. All right. Just give me about 2 more minutes here. And that D-Nut one, that's actually Krispy Kreme donuts. I always get it mistaken with Dunkin' Donuts, but that's definitely up there probably for one of the best tickers out there. If you were to ask me what's the best ticker out there, there's a couple that will come to mind, and I think D-Nut for Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, sorry. I always confuse it. But for Krispy Kreme would be right up there. That's pretty good. If you could think of a better one, let me know. All right, so I got one more left to put on here, and then I'll describe to you what exactly I like. Now, this watch list is made every single day. So if you are busy throughout the day, I always say it's a good time to just report back, and you can always pick one. The goal is not to copy me. It's to really just, create your own skill here. And the skill, if you do eventually get it, it lasts forever. It's great to see Nick. He still just picks it up whenever he wants. It's like riding a bike. There's such a wide range in CETY. A little too risky for me, but for those of you guys that out there that like that one, It's definitely in the range of huge volume stock that's still holding really nicely all day. It's got shorts squeezed up. So, all right, let's dive into these 5 stocks. We'll see if there's anything out there besides the one we're already in and the one we're trying to get in to close out the day. So the goal is always to buy stuff. And in this list, if you are new here, the goal is to buy stuff as close to the support as possible. So I always put the daily support and I always put the daily resistance. And that's the goal. Buy as close to daily support as possible and sell hopefully above that resistance and a little more. That's always the goal. So let me bring over this stock and I'll just explain it side by side just so you can see exactly what I'm looking for. But we'll go back to the single screen earlier. But this is what I'm looking at. It starts with AISP. Wow, look at Celsius. I forgot about that one. Celsius creating a little first green day there too. Good curl. And usually I would look at options for something like this. But it's been dropping so far. Celsius is not a bad one. I forgot all about this. But let's get back into the watches. AISP is my favorite one. I already have some at 352. I would get some more, but right now 1,300 shares, trying to get some more. We'll see what happens. That's definitely my favorite. It's a first green day. It's holding 348 all day. If you look at AISP, it's held that spot all day. And that's how I set my risk up. If you dive into ABBIF, the volume stinks, but it's over $1 million in volume. And it has a lot of gap up days, so that's all we'd be looking for. It's a metal stock breaking out, and it's been holding that 580 breakout almost all day. It's coming down to 570 earlier, so that's the only dip it's had. So that would be the cut area. Not bad at all, as you can see. I only put the long-term resistance and long-term support if it's a multi-month breakout, which, sorry, that's what this play is. And if you are new to reading my watch list, what I like to do is it's the stock, it's the break, it's the pattern, and I only play 5 patterns. Then right below it, I describe what it is, if it's listed or OTC. And then I describe what sector it's in. If it has news, I'll write that. And then the key levels. And long-term levels only matter for breakouts. So for this one, I mean, it looks good, but it's not. It's just the first green day. So these levels are more important when it comes to DNUT. So if you look at DNUT, those would be the more important levels that I'm looking for. It would be that 288, 290 hold, 287 hold all day. You would have to use those levels as cut and look for the follow-up that it's had before. And you can't win without putting yourself into position to win. So I always say give it a try if you think it looks good when you have the right risk levels. Now, finding the stocks that give you the right risk to reward is important, and that's usually what I like to do in the Mavericks room. I kind of try to do the dirty work for that part, but there's always more opportunity out there. Like sometimes 15% to 5% isn't enough for people, so that's why I look at CETY, or you can look at some options in Celsius, stuff like that. But the next one I got on here is another OTC stock. It's 5 million in volume, so it's a little better in volume than the other one. And this is just called the first green day after multiple days. Now there is a lot of wicks there, but robotic stocks look like they're trying to curl. RR is another robotic stock. I mean, that's a pretty nice day there for RR. Got above 350. So if you've noticed, RR is very similar to that one I just brought up. These sectors just ran so much, and now they're coming down a lot. So they'll run together again, I do think. It's just, when will they happen? Are we going to get that Santa rally? I'm really hoping for that. And then CETY is the last but certainly not least, the high risk, high reward. So I'll write that on there. But look how wide, the support is to the high day. So that's why it's a lot riskier. So you got to be a little more careful there. But other than that, 5 stocks that look pretty decent. Let's see if we can make some money here to close out the day. We got the one stock that's already making its way back up. Let's see if we can get another. DNUT's trying to curl. KRKNF's trying to curl. The Fossil was the other one we were kind of watching, but not too much. And then one, I'll give you a little bonus for tomorrow. So I'll keep Celsius here, but before I keep Celsius here, tomorrow I do think ZYPH is a good, or CYPH is a good watcher for those of you guys that are watching and like to trade more in the morning. It's a big drop from 370, and I think down to this 140 level or 135 level will be a good spot for it to bottom out. So I'm going to look for it tomorrow to possibly do that. Also, it follows Zcash, and Zcash has been falling all day for the past couple of days. It's below 500, but if we wake up and Zcash is up, there's a possibility that this could be up too. Zcash is one of those altcoins that recently blew up. It became like one of the top 10, almost the top 10 altcoins, but it just recently has been dropping because it's cooled off. But look at this run it's had from September or October of at $90 it was at, and now it just recently hit 700, and that's caused, this was a Zcash stock, and ZCIce was. So we'll keep an eye on both those. But look at AISP. Nice bounce here. That's what I'm talking about. Let's keep bouncing up. And let's make some money here to close out the day. Hopefully we can get some holiday bags, I always like to say. Holiday money. That's the goal. So the last 30 minutes of the day is usually when I get a little more aggressive. Usually the first 30 minutes is if I'm in love with it, I'll go after it. But the last 30 minutes is when I get a little more aggressive. So I'm waiting to see if we can get one more dip. I moved a little bit of bids up, but I still have, like I said, already 1,300 shares there. And I don't want to move up too much on this. The other one that I am trying to grab into right now is ABBRF. And I always like to be on the bid instead of on the ask. So lighter volume stock, we're on the bid right now. We'll see if we can get some fills there. But that's just a typical breakout. Look at Celsius. So my theory is a lot of these stocks have just been very oversold, and are just due for a bounce. Even if the markets do come back down and we continue to trend back down, I think we are, as long as we position ourselves correctly, you could probably catch something here. Now, I do think eventually down the road we're going to get the Santa rally. I'm not saying it's going to be today or this week. We are in a shorter week with Thursday off and Friday being a half day. But you always want to position yourself. Wake up tomorrow with big gap ups. There is the peace talk that's been going on too with Ukraine today. Looks like people are bringing up tickers. Himany, you got some tickers? Let's look at them. KZIA. So we got a little bit more filled of ABBRF. That's good. That's what we wanted. Let me put one last limit there. So we'll keep trying to catch the dip there. And AISP, it's a nice little curl we got so far to start off. We'll also keep eyeing that one down. But no real big bounce yet. We'll see. So we'll go through a couple tickers as we keep watching these and look for the fills. Himany and Nick's got a couple tickers. Let's see what's going on with those. Oh. OSRH. Healthcare stock. All right, decent watcher. We haven't really had a huge runner recently. Pretty annoying because usually we look for that morning momentum play, and nothing's really been popping in that category just because there's no big runner. And that's been a little annoying lately, I'd have to say. But OSRH is a decent little one, getting close to that dollar spot. It's got some resistance here at 91. And then Nick brought up DraftKings. I think it might be another one that's been just sucked down. So yeah, another one that's just down a lot, trying to create a first green day. You got a couple of these that are going on right now in the listed market. You look at DraftKings, you look at Target, you look at Nike, Lululemon. It looks like a lot of these oversold ones might be ready to bounce. You never know. I'm not a long-term guy, but I'm also saying short-term bounces are usually due. So you open up like Lulu, it's trying to bounce right now. Target, trying to bounce right now. One I do like, or Nike, I was talking about earlier. It's a decent first green day. Celsius. One I do like, though, that's more of a small cap, in my opinion, one that I would play. SMCI. This came all the way back down to that $30 range, and it's spiked a couple times this year off of this level. So I got some alerts already set up for it. I used to have alerts all the way up here. I can X those out now. But not a bad watcher, in my opinion. You know, we got technically a double bottom now at 31. If we keep holding these levels, will we be able to bounce into when the market gets hot? I do like it. I think it's a pretty good one to watch. But that's the higher price stuff. Looks like BBRF's going to try to hold the breakout. So typically, I know it looks like slower and ugly, but as long as it holds the technical analysis levels that I like, then I'll still go after it. And what I mean by that is breakouts usually tend to hold the breakouts. And if they can do that, they tend to gap up. And right now that's happening. I mean, if you look at it, the breakout is holding. So that's what I would look for. We'll see if it gets any more dip. But as of right now, we're in the last 30 minutes of the day. The last 30 minutes of the day is when I get a little more aggressive. Right now I have 500 shares, or 1,000 shares right now I have at 582. And I do want a little more. So I'm trying to get a little more. Once I get this last fill, I'll be around the 1,100 shares again for both of these stocks. But that one's a slower mover, so I don't have to really rush into it. 30 minutes left. This AISB is a listed stock, so be on the lookout for that one. After hours until 8 p.m. It doesn't look like it gets too volatile, but ideally we'll look for a gap up into tomorrow or possibly after hours or pre-market. So we will be watching that until 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll actually be driving down to South Florida watching that, which will be a nice little thing to do. Keep me busy on that 3.5-hour drive. Anyone have anything else that's interesting? Nick said NVIDIA. Well, if NVIDIA bounces, that'll be good for AISP too. Both of them being AI stocks, AI driven. So that would definitely be good for that one. QQQ and SPY coming up to new highs at the end of the day. Strong days there. Apple earlier, one of the larger stocks coming up to new 52-week highs today. I think new all-time highs actually. Yep. New all-time highs for Apple. Nice little breakout. It was the only one that we had on the options watcher for the weekly watchers this week. Let me see. Anyone on YouTube have any tickers or questions or anything? I would love to get some questions or tickers on YouTube. Oh, yeah. We got some people talking about it. What up, Michael Anthony? It's my middle name, too. So I got to answer your question. The debt with the upgrade to $19. We're talking D-Lo. Small account challenge, come join. We're going to get it going. Pretty much is starting. I pretty much loaded up my account already. I just haven't really announced anything. But yeah. What up, Allie? Love that. I love that you remember that. People care. That means a lot. So I'm gonna go down a list of stocks that people do have in YouTube. We have some questions, but AISP is my fill right now, and I moved my bid up in ABBRF a little bit, trying to get some more at 582. That's the spot I got right now. Bid just keeps moving up for that, slowly but surely. All right, so Delo is a little bit of a slower stock for me. The reason why I go after the ones I was showing you that I put on my overnight watch list is they usually have to have a big enough range where they can make 15 to 20% in a day. This one has like one day where it does that and one day where it does that. So we need a bigger day than what I'm looking for. But I get what you're saying. You're looking at it. Not a bad watcher. Yeah, Ali, that's awesome. I'm glad you're watching my stuff. So what I would look for in CYPH, we could set up for that first bounce, is the first thing I'll always look for is a long-term support spot. So I look for two key things. And I love that you are here asking amazing questions. You should jump in the Simpler Room. It's a $7 trial for a month for Black Friday. So take advantage while you can. But the multiple downward trending days from 370, you would think it's going to turn around. Nothing's guaranteed. This can easily come right back to 40. If it dropped below 140, I stopped to really honestly become interested in, and it could. But at the same time, I watch Zcash as well. If Zcash is up, then I'll really be watching this. If Zcash is even, we'll see. Either way, how I start to look at levels is I look at support levels from before. This isn't really a big support level before, but when it did spike, it did hold this level at 135. If you go back to it, that was the level that created the original spike. It was like a midday. I always like to call this the morning momentum play, and that morning momentum play turned into whatever it is now. It did eventually cool off, but it did hold those spots at one point. So all shorts, I always say, will eventually lose or take their profit, not lose, but they'll eventually take their profit. And when they take their profit, they start to cover. That causes a spike, and that's really what you're seeing right here. So we'll be looking for that move. Well, you haven't seen that, what I'm saying, but I'm painting that picture in my head that tomorrow it's going to be at 140, 135. And what the levels I point, so now that I have the first level in, which is 135, 140, the next levels I like to do is I like to kind of put lines on lower day from the day before because I like to see it cross above that. I like to put where it closes, and I like to put the first 5-minute high a day from tomorrow. So we kind of have to wait for tomorrow. And we have to wait to see where it closes. But those are the three lines I like to look at for morning momentum plays. I just always have done that. And if you look at what I mean, zooming back to all four of these days, if I set those lines up, you wouldn't have got into this stock because ever since that day that it's been dropping, it's done exactly like I said. If we put a line on yesterday's lows, which are right here, and then we put a line on the close, which is right here, it dropped below both those lines. And then if I put a line at the first 5-minute high, it didn't even get close to that. Same thing here. Does that again, and same thing here. Eventually that's going to stop. And those lines, in my opinion, are what I just personally use those for possible turnarounds. Now, that is not exact science, but I've been trading for 10 years now. And for personal bounces and turnarounds, it's not a bad idea. I mean, you look at Hover, which over the weekend was amazing. And it's another stock. I mean, it was coming down, and finally gets that one day of turnaround. And it's not much volume, but 127 turns into 156, 160. Same thing with Barnes & Nobles. Down. You just randomly get this one day of turnaround and hold. And that usually is a little bit of sign that stuff's changing. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's stuff that I've noticed. But I love that you're actually watching that, and I appreciate it. What's love? Let's go. Keep grinding. And hopefully you can tag this bag this today with us off of one of these, ABBRF or AISP. AISP, we're at 353. or 352. And then that ABBRF, I got a little bit at 382. I got 1,000 shares at 382. So not going too heavy on both of these stocks just because we are dealing with a holiday week. The QQQ Inspire having beautiful days, but it still is a holiday week. Praying that this is the start of a Santa rally, but I don't want to completely jump on board of that. All right, so let's see if there's any other questions. ABBRF doesn't come up. So if you have certain brokers, ABBRF's actually not going to come up. So it is something that you do specific brokers for. I do apologize for that. It's an OTC stock, so you usually don't need anything too special. Not, at least that's my opinion, but all right. Let's see if we have any other questions here. Any other questions as we go along? Okay, Johnny, you're going after that one? I like this AISP, but I see what you're seeing in. Let's see if this holds a little bit. A little longer holding this AISP. Krispy Kreme is trying to make a little curl. Nice to see there. But I think I'm just going to stick with these two A stocks. There's 18 minutes left. I also don't like to get too overwhelmed with more than 2 or 3 stocks. I mean, if you have 4 or 5 stocks overnight, it starts to become overwhelming. And not just overwhelming, you start to lose focus. I always say there's opportunity cost in trading. And that opportunity cost means you are literally let going of your focus on one stock because you have all these other positions when you could probably capitalize more on one. Or you're losing capital on one stock where you could be using it on others. So those are usually the 2 big opportunity costs that come into mind when I talk about trading. All right. So as I slowly wait, that's why I kind of try to coin myself a sniper. I see if there's anything else out there that maybe I would want to do. And Donut and KRKNF are buy highs, so I'm not going to go after those. Fossil, I'm not going to do. City, I'm not going to do. It's a little too risky for me. So I like where these two A stocks is where we're going to leave our bet here this afternoon. I'm going to try to get the rest filled at 582 where I already have my position. If it doesn't, I'll move it up a little later in the last 10 minutes. But we have 15 minutes left here in the day. If you are free tomorrow, I know a lot of people will be traveling and getting busy for the holidays. So if you are busy, travel safe. But if you are free tomorrow, I actually have my webinar Wednesday, 12:30 to 2 p.m. Eastern. So come join me midday, and we will go over some stuff before the holidays. I'll probably just look at a lot of more of this downtrending movement stocks to possibly take advantage of. And maybe we'll be buying CYPH tomorrow morning, because if it does keep doing what it's doing, it's holding the exact levels I'd want. You just want one more leg down below 144. So we got a lot of alerts ready for it. I'll see if it does it tomorrow. That's the goal. Let's see if AISP could rally back to highs into close. That'd be great. And then ABBRF, I'm just still trying to get those last couple of fills here. So now it's more patience. We'll see what we can get. All right. So AISP is trying to curl. So if you did get that 353, you're up 10 cents now, or 352, 353 area. Let's see, QQQ and SPY being at highs really is a big reason why I started to go after it. I liked it this morning all day, and then it gave this midday dip, which is usually what I like. So we'll see. Nothing's guaranteed, but it's a nice cushion to start off. Usually when I'm in a stock overnight, I try to buy so I have a little cushion overnight, meaning if it does gap up, or meaning if it does gap down, I can still get out even, or I can still win a little bit even if it comes down. But the cushion would be about 10, 20 cents. Usually I like 5% would be ideal. Right now it's only up about 2%. Johnny, that's funny. KRKNF's trying to go. Himini likes that one. Krispy Kreme's trying to go. So I like to see we got two stocks that are doing decent stuff for us. Let's see if they can continue at all. ABBRF, I'm going to start creeping up a little higher. It might move our average a cent or two, but with a slower mover like that, we're just looking for a gap up. It's not too much we're hiding there. KRKNF new highs. DNUT's trying to hold, and let's see if AISP could hold. Now that's into the close for AISP. So I'll be watching it into 8 p.m. Eastern as I drive. So make sure to keep an eye on it too if you did take it. And then the CYPH, if you are watching it tomorrow, definitely keep an eye on that, in my opinion. KRKNF's trying to come back above 420. It's been a spot that it's been below for a while. If I open up this one right here, all right. 10 minutes left. I always say let's look for the fourth quarter push here. I'm a big sports guy, so that's what I'm looking for. Getting these last fills in here in ABBRF, so it's going to be right at 1,100 shares. It's going to be 583. Nine minutes left. Ooh, KRKNF with a little push down. I mean, it's nice. If you do like it, it's a nice way to add. That's probably the spot you want to add into. Oh gosh, ABBRF, we're going to have to move up our bid a little bit. I'm going to smack the highs. So now, what we got? Shares at so 583 is what we just averaged out. So there we go. 8 minutes left. Going with the 2A stocks. I've liked that since 12 o'clock noon and since this, not this morning because ABBRF needed to develop. But one listed, one OTC. OTCs don't move until 9:30, so you won't have to stress that one as much as AISP. But AISP is probably not going to move too much after hours either. So let's see what we get here. Last 20 or 8 minutes left. CYPH hells again, but that's good. Markets are making new highs, which is good for the listed stocks. And if you still want to watch this CETI, CETY, it's not a bad idea. It makes sense why a lot of those stocks kind of just spike like Celsius to highs. Look at that. KRKNF recovered just like that. That's why you want to buy those dips. Dips are always discounts if you like it. Same with this AISP. If you like it, dips are usually discounts. That's how you want to treat it. All right, so if anybody has any questions, we got 5 minutes left. We're looking for that buzzer beater push now, but if anyone has any questions, especially on the YouTube side, let me know. The holidays are here. Another D-Lo question. I see you like D-Lo, Michael. I get where you're coming from. The only dip in ABBRF was 570. Technically, the breakout's 580. So you can use either one of those spots as your cut. Looking for the gap up. It's a slower mover, so I always consider that more of an old reliable. It's a metal stock too. Metals mover, MP is usually stuff that I like to watch as well to see if maybe that'll make a move here. But right now, MP's not really moving, and this one's making new highs, so that's a plus. So nice to be able to have something and actually be a mini cushion in both of these. On our first official Power Hour YouTube live, I actually might start doing this on Tuesdays because Tuesdays I usually do it in the morning, but the afternoons might be better because this is usually when I make the buys anyway. So maybe we'll do some afternoon lives. Be on the lookout for that in the future. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure to hit the live or the subscribe button and be on the lookout for more videos coming soon. I've been uploading, finally getting back to YouTube, finally situated. I was traveling for the summer. I got engaged. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened, but we're back. KRKNF, look at that bounce. That's why you buy dips right there. You'd be up 3% just like that. Nice little cushion. AISP, let's see if it can push into the close. Same with ABBRF. Oh, no, not get a dip. I'll have some alerts set up for tomorrow. CYPH, I'm pretty much setting up the lines. The next line is going to pretty much, I think, go at 150 because that's going to be the close. And then the next line will be tomorrow morning, deciding where it opens. So tomorrow morning will be a key spot. CYPH will be one that usually, if Zcash is going to be up pre-market, you want to wake up too with it. And you already most likely be up if you are an AISB. You should be up at least. So this one could be one that we're already getting into at 7 a.m. Looks like we're going to have an active morning in South Florida tomorrow, which I'm excited for. It's usually the best to start a nice little holiday vacation with possible bags. There's no better way to start a vacation. Or I knew how the holiday seasons at least. There we go, Himini. Buying a little bit on the dip. That's what you got to do. Get in on that dip. All right. For those of you guys on YouTube that don't follow the journey, you can always check me out on profit.ly under Stock Snipers. I think this trade might be the one that gets us over that big 500K spot right before the holidays. That'd be beautiful. So we'll see if we can get to that above 500K in profits. Big number that I've been shooting for a while now. 2-minute warning. Look at KRKNF, new highs. If anybody is interested in the short-term stock playbook, it's actually the playbook that I created that I think it's everything you need to know about trading, or at least to get you started in the market, or try to get you consistent in the market. It's about a 5-hour long video, and it is discounted right now for Black Friday. So I would recommend taking advantage of that while you can on the Simpler Trading website under Stock Mavericks. Check out the course. It's called the Short-Term Stock Playbook, and it is a great course. Highly recommend for everyone. Options, I approach it very similar to how I would approach just like I'm doing now. I mean, Nike doesn't look like a bad option to possibly take overnight. It's got a nice dip into support if you like that one. It's all on you. But usually I would play the same patterns if I'm looking at options as well. All right, last 30 seconds. CETY is going to dip into the close, so patience there. ABBRF, not really too much of a cushion, but that's a slower, old, reliable. At least AISP, we have about 7 cents, 8 cents cushion. The last little bit didn't get filled, and that's okay. We'll be fine without it. And that is where we're going to close this day. Hopefully, AISP gets a push after hours. If not, we're looking for a gap up, and then ABBRF by 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Hopefully, it's gapping up too. Keep watching all of these, and if you guys are interested, would love to see you in the Mavericks team possibly tomorrow, or take advantage of that Black Friday deal while you can. All right, team. YouTube team, I'll say bye to you guys first. It was fun being with you this power hour. That was the first power hour we had together. I think I'm up like $150. Nothing too crazy, but it's up. It's green. And you guys got to see it all. Hit subscribe. Much love, guys.